Something that really pisses me the fuck off is how narcissistic parents can create socially awkward kids, and I'm going to explain why. The thing is, narcissistic parents, or not even parents, just like any adult that plays a major part in a kid's life, they can create kids with social problems because they don't model proper boundaries and they don't give the child the validation they need to develop their own sense of self. A lot of the time, a child's life when they have a narcissistic parent or caregiver is full of emotional abuse, possibly physical abuse, gaslighting, that's a major one, and a bunch of other just problematic behaviors that completely warp their sense of how relationships are supposed to work. These types of caregivers also heavily discourage, and by that I mean there will be hell to pay if the child even dares to have a boundary. And boundaries are yet another social skill that is necessary to have healthy relationships and to function in this world, especially as an adult. But what happens when you have a narcissistic parent is that you do not learn how relationships actually work. Because what you're taught is other people's feelings come first at all times. The way to get along with people is to shut up and do what you're told. And I am always wrong. Or even if it's not the parent or caregiver that's doing the abusive behaviors directly. Another major issue that I've seen is when a kid is getting mistreated by someone else. Maybe it could be a kid at school, or it could be even another adult in the family, especially in the family. And the parents or caregivers don't step in to protect them. Or worse, they gaslight them into thinking that they're the problem. They invalidate the kid. They're like, well, maybe Aunt Jackie felt like you were rude. You're not very friendly to Aunt Jackie either, so maybe that's why she's cold to you. Or, they probably didn't mean that. You're probably just being sensitive. Now listen, I'm not saying that we can't give kids reality checks. We can and should, because sometimes, nobody's always right. But if a child is getting mistreated and they come to you about it and your response is invalidation, or you're still kikiing with adults that treat your child badly, mm, 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 grinds my fucking gears. And I'm gonna tell you why. I said that narcissistic parents create socially awkward kids, right? What happens when you're a kid and you have your reality doubted and invalidated over and over and over again, the message you learn is, I cannot trust myself. I am always wrong. As a rule, other people are right. And so I should defer to them. I should look to other people to tell me what's what. I should let other people tell me what I should believe. And I should not listen to my own feelings and interpretations of how people treat me. And when you're like that, when you think like that, that is so dangerous. Because what ends up happening is you become someone that doesn't read the room. And what's worse in that situation, because some people, they can't read the room because they genuinely don't know how. But some people, it's not that they can't read the room, it's that they don't have social intuition, it's that they don't trust what they're reading. Again, they have learned to distrust their instincts to the point that unless something smacks them in the face, they are not able to pick up on social cues. They gaslight themselves when people are passive aggressive with them, because that's the thing. A lot of the time, with people when people are being disrespectful to you or choosing to even bully or abuse you, a lot of the times they're going to start with subtle social cues or subtle forms of disrespect, little things, a passive aggressive comment here, a little snark, a little condescension, or a nonverbal cue like an eye roll or a side eye, or just acting very lukewarm and standoffish. Those little things. And where somebody who trusts themselves and is able to read the room would pick that up and know, okay, this person is not someone that I need to be around, so I'm going to avoid them as much as I can. If you're the type that you have been gaslit your whole life and you don't trust yourself, you're going to walk right into the lion's den with a smile on your face. You're going to say, maybe I was taking it too personally when they rolled their eyes. Maybe they didn't mean anything by that snarky comment. It made me uncomfortable, but I can be too sensitive, so. And then what happens? So chances are you're not going to stand up for yourself. And when the person sees you don't stand up for themselves, or you don't stand up for yourself, they tend to escalate and escalate and escalate. And that's how the person that does not trust themselves to read situations can end up in abusive, humiliating, and even outright dangerous situations. Parents, it is dangerous to gaslight your children. You are putting them in danger for the rest of their lives when you invalidate their reality. Narcissistic or emotionally abusive, emotionally immature, whatever you want to call it, parents, they are robbing their kids of the ability to protect themselves. Because part of knowing how to protect yourself is knowing how to read the room and knowing how to assess the situation. When parents gaslight their kids to the point where they don't know up from down, and their kids develop social awkwardness from that, they are put at such a disadvantage compared to everybody else. It is psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically damaging to not be able to figure out when people are harming you until maybe months or even years down the line. In fact, it's downright traumatizing. And I don't want to see any more people go through that. That's why I make the content I make, and it's also why I'm developing a course for socially awkward adults to learn social skills that they didn't learn as kids, so that they're better able to read the room and protect themselves, among, other things, like being able to be confident and free in social situations. If you'd be interested in that, you can head over to the link in my bio, click on my website, and sign up for my mailing list so that you can be the first to know when the course comes out. And also give me a follow if you want more content on social skills.